Hey, Carol, how are you?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. I got a busy morning on me. How's your morning going?
Okay, so far.
Are you working on any deals or?
I'm a newbie, so I'm in the learning stage right now. I'm just trying to get a bunch of knowledge.
Perfect. What city and state are you in?
I'm in Arizona.
Oh,
I'm
you're
in
in
Gilbert.
Arizona with me. Okay. Very cool. She's had me change this up a couple times. She really was hoping people would bring deals and we could go over how to comp and see if it's a deal and things like that. So I don't have any formal teaching, although to teach today, although I can, depending on what you want to learn about. Hi, Maddie, how are you?
Hi.
Hello, hello. Sorry, y'all can see me, but not for long. I still haven't got ready. I got 2 open houses today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been up since 6:30.
I got all my junk in the background. I was like, let me blur all the stuff in my office.
Me too. I got plain old white wall behind me now in this one, but yes, you're good. Are you here in Arizona also, Maddie?
I'm in Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Oh, you're Stone Mountain, Georgia. I was born in Macon, so yeah, not too far.
It's a suburb of Atlanta.
Nice. Do you have any particular deals you're working on right now or anything we can run numbers on?
I'm laughing because I guess I've asked, different people and I kind of keep getting these different answers. So I'll try to quickly tell you what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
I have a property that I inherited with my brother in the 1990s.
Okay.
And then my mother lived in the house until she died. And my brother started living in the house. So he lived there until he died in 2018. And he only had one heir, and it took his heir until last year until she did the probate. So I ended up buying her half of the property so that I own the property 100%.
Okay.
It's a 950 square foot house, and it's a 1962. So it's a ranch, but it has an unfinished basement.
Okay.
And I had to spend quite a bit of money related to the house already, but what I'm trying to decide, are you familiar with pad split? They're not all over the country, but it's sort of, it's a company that has started trying to produce lower income housing. And
Okay.
they do that through, landlords. I guess in the old, previously it was sort of like a rooming house, but that's not what they call it today. It's more of a different kind of arrangement. But basically, someone would rent a room or a room with a bath. Lots of the time they're shared baths, but it could be a situation where they get their own bath. So what I've been kind of trying to come up with, whether instead of trying to do a traditional rental, do a pad split. And to do a pad split, you need a minimum of 5 bedrooms. And so this is a 3-1. Pad split doesn't like a lot of spaces like living rooms and dining rooms. Often that's sort of converted into an additional bedroom or something like that. So I don't want to use any of my own funds because I'm retired from my W-2 job, and I had to take some of my retirement funds to buy out my relative, plus just money I've spent, for various things.
Yeah.
I have not done any private lending before, but I do work with a hard money lender. I'm one of his private lenders, and he and I have talked about this. So I think he would give me a pretty good deal if he did the hard money lending. He wouldn't charge me any points. And so I guess what I've been trying to figure out, if I go the pad split route, one is maybe not so much getting the money to do the rehab, but I guess doing a cash out refi, paying back the loan. So I, you know, I'm working with a couple of kind of coaches. You know, one is saying maybe I'm too emotionally attached to the property because I did grow up there. And maybe the best thing would be to either make do a certain type of rehab, sell the property or wholesale the property, but just basically sell it in some form of fashion, get the money, and kind of maybe either do another property that doesn't require as much work, because would probably take at least 60, 70, 80,000 to do the rehab, and could even be a little bit more, but I think I could probably maybe get it at between the 70 to 80. I've talked with a contractor that's an investor in my REI group, and he's looked at the property, but I guess I keep going. I'm waiting to talk with a local person that's an agent and investor and a passive investor. Unfortunately, we've had to postpone our last couple of Zoom meetings, but you know, I guess with the numbers, I guess I'm just not sure, you know.
And so that rehab would be what, making the basement into 2 more bedrooms and adding a bathroom down there?
Yes, and then the house needs there's a lot of deferred maintenance. I mean, the reality is my brother and I really weren't talking, and I didn't realize, honestly, he didn't really want me to visit the property, and I didn't push back on him about it. And so there is a lot of, you know, deferred maintenance. And so, you know, we've got to have a new roof. The property is actually another house could actually be built, because it's a lot of other land associated with it. It's a lot of shrubberies and stuff that will probably need to be cut back, because, you know, there's flowers and, you know, just various things like that. So, you know, I guess I've just been trying to figure out what is the best thing to do.
And those bedrooms, if you got them fixed, what are you ballparking the rent at per room? Would it be like $600 or $650 a room, or is it more than that?
It would be maybe a little bit more, but just as that's per month. It's basically, I got some new numbers. I think it was more like, I'm not sure if he's even 160. Yeah, it was maybe like, yeah, 162 per room per week.
Okay.
So it would be, hold on just one second. I have another webinar that I have to monitor. I apologize.
That's okay.
But it's too loud.
Yes, that makes sense.
Can you hear it? Well, maybe you don't hear it. Maybe it's on me. I was just gonna see if I could pull up.
Let me see.
I think the numbers.
I know 2 people that have rented out houses in 2 different parts of the country by the room. One was in Knoxville, Tennessee, and one was in Philly, and both of them did very well. But I talked for an extended amount of time to the person in Philly, and he said up front it was kind of a shit show. He said until he realized there had to be locks on every door and cameras in every area, you know, at the front. He was actually doing an Airbnb and renting by the room. The other one was renting regular short-term by the week, like you're talking about.
Okay, well, see, Pad Split actually handles the tenant selection. They do the advertising. They handle really any disputes with tenants. So the landlord really isn't responsible for that. The property management function is more, you can either, they have some suggested property managers, but what the property management for the landlord entails is things like just making sure that there's a turnover, which, if necessary, from one client to the next, and you know, if any repairs or maintenance is needed, that goes through that property management. And I think when all is said and done, if you use Pad Split, a property management, and then I think there's a charge for credit cards. It's something, I think it was like 22.75% would go towards that.
Okay.
And then the rest of it, but then of course you know, we have to pay all the utilities out of what we make as well. So your internet, your gas, electric, tax, you know, all of that stuff has to come out of that as well. What I was looking for, I had done a this guy here has done like a spreadsheet of all these expenses, and I was trying to pull up one I was playing with to see how much, you know, like how much money I would make. So, I mean, I guess I could handle, or, you know, trying to, the property management portion and save a little bit there, but, you know, there's a pass-it fee, and then there's certain fees.
And if it was rented as a single family, just like it sits, what kind of rent, not just like it sits, but if you just fixed up the existing and left the basement unfinished, about what would it rent for?
Probably maybe a maximum of 1,400, maybe, you know, somewhere between about 1,250 and 1,400, just depending on.
So it is considerably more to do it the other way, even after
Right.
utilities and splitting. Yeah. Hmm.
So I didn't know I was going to actually be able to do all this with you. I should have had my documents already out. I didn't know I was going to be able to get this much time with you. I was kind of hoping I would, but I didn't think it was going to happen.
That's okay. There's only 2 people, usually 2 or 3 every month, and we usually talk about whatever they are working on. So that's all right with me.
Well, you know, I'm in this local group I'm in. The person that runs it has quite a bit of experience, and she's the, you know, taught creative deals and stuff. She seemed to think it was a good idea. She's also a real estate agent like you and has a brokerage. But in talking with other people, her considerations and their considerations, you know, weren't necessarily the same. So that's why it seems everyone I talk to kind of comes at it maybe at a different angle. And what I want to talk to with my passive expert is we want to look at the numbers, because he just did a seminar a couple of weeks ago. And one of the attendees, she has 10 pad splits, and she was saying that she has found that renting out a private bathroom with a bedroom seems to draw more money for her than just somebody sharing. I contacted Passport to try to get their numbers, but they really don't have any good statistics on that. So, because my thing is, if I've got to renovate the house, if I'm going to go that route, I'd like to see if I'm renovating it to what people want, you know, and I specifically asked about that zip code and area. So to me, if it makes more sense to have, you know, more private bathrooms with a bedroom, if that's going to enable you to get a higher rate, plus people tend to stay a bit longer too, right, then does that make more sense than trying to just do a lot more bedrooms when maybe you get a little more money, but then, you know, more money, more people, more
wear and
things like
tear,
that.
more,
Yeah.
everything. I mean, definitely they rent for more. I mean, with the bathroom, even in this market, a private bathroom with a room in a house is $1,000, and a shared one you're in at about 800. It's 1,000 plus. It could be more depending on the area, but it's just a matter of your construction cost, like you said. I think it sounds really cool. I can't believe I've never heard of pad split.
Well, you know, they started in Atlanta, but they're in, I think, Houston now, parts of Florida, I think somewhere in Virginia. So they're expanding, but you know, there's just a need for a lot of the idea is to, you know, help people who make like 35,000 or less. And some people are doing it for different reasons. Some to get back on their feet, some to save up for their own house or to be able to move into their own apartment. But it's just a much more cost effective method, because I'm sure the rents there are just, they're constantly rising.
But,
And
yeah.
it's, I'm like, luckily I have my own house, but I'm like, I know my sister is a renter, and, she gets concerned about what she has to pay for rent. And, I understand landlords have to make money, but then if I could help someone to get back on their feet and make money, but not feel like I'm just gouging people, I think I would feel better about the process. But how much do I spend? So I know you don't know everything, but just if you could say, what are the things you think would be the considerations in a case like this? There's no debt on the property. Zillow has for some reason it was going up, then it went down. Now it's gone way back up again. And then I do that against some other things.
What is the address on it?
It's 230 Hemp Hill, HEMPHILL School Road in Atlanta. That's it.
School Road, okay.
And the 58 sold. I think I'm gonna have to get a change, because that's what I paid to buy her out. That's not really, with the.
Yeah, it pulls up from the tax record. That's okay. It just doesn't know.
But see, it's got it zoomed way up to 215.8, and I'm like, I don't even. That's not what a Redfin has. Sometimes Redfin tended to be higher, but it has it lower, but still it's.
Let me see what they sell them for. I feel a huge shift in the market here. I truly feel like the real estate market is going to be, it's definitely slowed down. We're definitely seeing price reductions. And I definitely think we're in for a changing market. It's moving from this definite seller's market to a buyer's market here. Our days on market have doubled, the inventory's doubled. And I do think that if you were going to sell, the sooner you sell, the better right now, because as interest rates go up, prices are going to go down to compensate for it. And it's just going to adjust there to make that happen. But I do think that single room rentals can be very profitable. And I kind of think that's where it's going to go while we're in this inflationary period. Let's see.
Okay.
But I sold that for 200. Yours probably is worth right around exactly what Zillow's saying. They updated this a little bit, but they sold it 190 a square foot. And same with this one. That's where they're getting the value for your property at, from these two comps.
How did you know that? Was it because they were the ones below it? How did you know these were the ones they used?
We'll make note of this. That property, their 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that's fixed up, is renting at $1,800 a month.
Okay.
We were just talking about what rent might be on your property, but if you
Yeah.
could get that second bathroom in there, they rented it really quickly. It went up January 26th and by February 4th. So I think if you chose to rent it single family, you might get a little more than you think. When I use Zillow to comp properties, we just put the address in.
Okay.
And then it will pop up the most recent information. It may or may not be correct, but I typically write down this. And then I'll go down and see if there's any notes, where it was listed previously. It would be right here. Yours doesn't have any, but, and then you've got your year bill, your lot size and all of that. And then we can see if it was sold recently, which this looks like it was, even though it wasn't. So when you X out of it, it's always going to be right in the middle of the screen. You see how it's got a white label for the 216,000 and the rest of the labels are dark?
Yeah.
So that is your property. And so then we just need to scoot out a little bit by hitting this minus button. So we've got a little further distance to pull comps. Now we wouldn't want to go on the other side of this interstate, because that's a big barrier. It probably divides subdivisions, neighborhoods. But if we could find comps in here, we're good. So then, just to make sure we're only getting similar properties, you can click the more button and make the square feet bracket the subject property square feet. So yours was just under 1,000. So I picked 750 up to 1,250.
Okay.
And then there's one more spot down here. And so you're not looking at all the sold properties, you know, from the last few years. You want to change this to say 6 months. If there's not enough, you could bump it back to 12 months, but it looks like we're good at 6 months right now. We've got enough comps here. And so, and then these can either be sorted by highest price. Let me move this, the little thing, or most recent. I typically sort by highest price because most of the time that indicates it was fixed up and that's why it sold for more. Once in a while, there'll be a house that's got 4 or 5 acres and you're like, oh, that's why that one sold for that much, or whatever the situation. So these would all, this is a 4-bedroom, but it didn't sell for that much more for the extra bedroom. And it's a little old comp. I felt like these two are really good comparables to your house. We see they sold recently. We can even be nosy and see how long it took them to sell. Down here. So listed January 5th, it sold to a landlord January 24th, because they turned around and put it right back up for sale. So I'm sorry, that's when it went pending. Let me see when it listed. Listed 12/29. So they listed right after Christmas. It only took 6 days to go pending. It sold at full price. And then if you decided to sell your house, this landlord, the owner on the tax record, might be a buyer for you if you decided to sell at this time, right? Because he just got a rental in the same neighborhood.
I get people contact me. Somebody texted me this week. I didn't respond back, saying they had bought a property in the area. Was I interested in selling? But I didn't respond back because I wasn't sure.
I kind of feel like that $1,800 rent, that brings it closer. If you'd have to do all the rehab and then and add the 2 bedrooms downstairs and the bathroom, and it rents at where they think it will at $162 a week, excuse me, that puts your gross rent for the 5 bedrooms at about $3,500. Let me make sure I said it right. 162 times 4.5 weeks, 729 times 5 bedrooms, 3,600, 3,500. And if they're taking 22% of that, that's minus 700. So it leaves you 2,800. And then if your utilities are 5, I don't know what they are, then that's leaving you about 2,300 net. So it still is more than the 1,800. If it were me, and I know it's putting another idea in your head, and that's what you're already trying to sort through.
Okay.
If it was me, I get nervous about week-to-week tenants arguing and causing problems and not getting along. I've lived in a triplex before. We're not even in the same house, and have friends that have tried to house hack, and people can be problematic, especially when they're having a hard time financially. Sometimes they move boyfriends, girlfriends in, you know what I mean? You get more people in the room than you thought. And
well, see, that's against the rules though. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, they're not supposed to do that. And one of the reasons they said they don't use a lot of common areas, because that can cause confusion, if somebody's using more than somebody else. So they discourage a lot of common area. Everybody has their own room. And as I say, one of their, responsibilities is for the tenants to come to them with any issues that arise about
what you don't have to do with it.
So that would be, I guess, one of their selling points. Plus they screen all the tenants, they do background checks, things of that nature. Because I guess on the flip side, just kind of what you said, if you have one tenant and the rent is $1,800, and if they run into any kind of problem, then kind of what happens then
Right.
versus
Yeah.
you got 5, 6, whatever number of tenants and only one person is having an issue, then that's different
You're
than.
still getting money and you're not totally at zero. Yeah, I see that. Mhm. I like to sell on lease option, which means you're giving a buyer that's, we call them penalty box buyers. They might be not self-employed long enough. Maybe they had a nasty divorce. Maybe they just got COVID and couldn't work and their credit got messed up. But here, selling lease with the option to buy is very big, and most of those buyers were able to get about 10% upfront option money. So if you were saying, hey, I know my house needs a little work, whatever it is, and I want to sell this just for number's sake at 200,000, we typically can sell at a little bit of a premium, 5 to 10%, and then collect that 10% option money, which would put 20 back in your pocket. What we found is that only about 15 to 20% ever actually close on the property because they change their mind or they get a new boyfriend or want to move to a different part of town. For whatever reason, they hardly ever close it out, but the option money is not refundable. So they stay 2 years and, people get in their mind, they want to live somewhere different or different part of town or their job location changes. They move out and we clean it up and just do it again. We find
Right.
when they put that option money up front, they tend to take care of the house better. We also move the house maintenance and repairs onto them. So where as a typical landlord, you're going to be fixing toilets and whatever else the tenant calls about. When they're in a lease option and they've paid the option money for the right to purchase the house at a certain price within a certain time frame, they are responsible for the repairs. So it kind of takes the yuckiest part of being a landlord away, which is really the repairs and the things that you pay a property management company to do.
Well, see, I guess to me, the problem with this house though is that there are, I know there's some plumbing issues. The gas and electricity are on, but the plumbing is not, because there's some issues there that need to be addressed. And it needs a new roof. It needs, in the condition that it's in, I don't know that I couldn't lease option it, even if I, like you were saying, kind of reduce the price. I'd still have to, I think, make certain repairs to get it in, some type of condition.
Mm-hmm.
And it, I wish my brother and I had communicated better about this, because, and it wasn't that he didn't have the money either. I mean, he did have money, and I don't know. It's so, I can't really wrap my head around certain things that were going on with my brother, but there were some things going on with him.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, right now, I probably would still have to probably put about 40, because it doesn't have central air and heating. It has, so that would, I'm sure, had to be added. Some things would have to be done to the kitchen that, it may not have to be top of the line, but some things there, maybe minimum done with the basement, but I don't know, maybe I don't know if I keep trying to find reasons why I should keep it. On the one hand, I'm like, am I, I'm just trying to say, if I was just looking at the cold hard fact, and I guess that's what one of my coaches has been trying to throw into my head. You need to look at the cold hard fact. Don't be emotional about it. And so, what decision would you make if you were just looking at the cold hard fact? And that's what I've kind of been trying to do. What do I need to know? Figure out what is the right criteria to kind of look at for the cold hard fact. And if I go against it, then I say, okay, I decided, despite the evidence, I went the other way. But if I say, well, maybe this does make more sense, that would give me money to maybe buy another house that's more appropriate for pad split already, would take less rehab to get it done, would give me some, cash for other properties, since as you saying, the economy is changing and you can probably buy something, more cheaply.
Yep.
Just let it go.
You don't want to, I see. I do think I personally think prices are coming down. Nobody has a crystal ball, but I personally feel the change here. I personally do think you'll be able to pick up maybe a property you don't have to put as much work in. If you don't have contractors, I feel like.
Well, I do have a contractor, actually, the guy in my rear, that saw the house, and he actually renovates, he has his own pad splits, and he also renovates to the pad split model. And so, he was saying it could be done, you could do a rental, you could sell it. It just depends on how much money do you want to put in it, and can think about, will you be able to, get a loan to pay off, like my, do the hard money loan or private lender, something like that. So that's sort of what I'm thinking about. And the other thing, I know I need to do some other deals, whether it's wholesaling or something else. I mean, I bought a lot of courses, but I really haven't, other than doing the little private lending, I haven't bought any properties. Either it doesn't work, I just haven't generated enough offers. I don't know. I keep trying, I don't know. I know I'm not making enough offers. So obviously you can't get deals if you don't make offers.
I would definitely use this property. Even if you don't have a decision made on what you want to do, I would go ahead and take the pictures and write up the marketing like you were going to sell it, and go ahead and slap it all over Facebook and wherever else you can in your REIA group, so you can build your cash buyers list. Because it's a good area of town. It doesn't mean you have to accept anybody's offer, even if it comes in at full price, but it will allow you to build your buyers list very easily because you have a property that's in a good area that needs some work.
Okay.
I would do, and that at least you'll have some idea if you push it out where the offers are coming in, and then you would say, okay, would I rather take whatever 150 for my house, but this one on Hemp Hill School says it needed work also, that sold at 142 this month. They don't have any interior, so it's hard to see, but it did say that it needs work, bring your tools.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you'll be okay no matter what, though. If you choose to wholesale it and make some money and put some money back into marketing, that's good. If you rent it by the room, I still think you'll be safe renting by the room. I do agree with the point they made there. If the economy gets tough and work gets hard, yeah, if you've got one tenant not paying, it's a lot different than missing the whole mortgage.
Right. Yeah, because 1,800, I can't wrap my head around that, but I'm thinking to pay that much rent, you probably need a pretty good job, or a couple that's, got a pretty good income to make sure they pay that, plus utilities and everything else, that
they need close to 6 figures, and that's what it is here, to be able to afford $1,800 a month comfortably.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It is. It's close to that much if you got a car payment and any other payments. Let's see what else. So they got a couple more pending. Your area is good. Sorry, I didn't mean to click off that. So.
It's changing. It still has a ways to go, but there's definitely, activity out there, but it's not, the schools are not terrific. Some people buy for school, some people don't.
They went pending in 9 days at 230 on August. This is close too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not bad.
I was trying to see if there was anything active or pending. So that one hasn't sold yet. And 192. This house just looks like it might be a little rough. They're having trouble moving it. It looks rough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They added onto it and probably didn't get a permit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There are hardwoods in this house, and they may need a little resurfacing, but they're in good shape because there was carpeting or something on the top of them. The bedrooms are a nice size, but it's just one bathroom upstairs. But it could be, but it's a living room, dining room combination. The kitchen is not huge. I think it could be some reconfiguration, to make it work better.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the unfinished basement, depending on what would be done down there, or maybe if you sell it, you wouldn't have to necessarily do a lot in the basement, just make sure it's waterproof and stuff like that, I guess, but wouldn't have to necessarily build out anything.
Well, I think it's a good property. At least you've got a lot of different exit strategies, and I think that any one of them works for that house. I do. So I know you want a clear answer. It really depends on which way you want to go in your financial situation, and is it going to strap you for cash if the remodel takes a couple extra months? And when it's time to refi out of the hard money, if interest rates are up at 7, which is where we see them going, does it still cash flow? Is that going to be an issue? So I think it's just a bunch of math that needs to be, probably worst case scenario, 7 or 8% interest rates by the end of the year. I think it's going to be at 7, but only because the Fed has said they're going up in June 0.5 point and in July 0.5 point. So you can, on your phone, if you guys haven't downloaded Carl's calculator, it starts with a K, K-A-R-L-S. It's Carl's mortgage calculator.
Okay.
And it allows you to plug in the price, the down payment, the interest rate. You can put in your HOA fees, taxes, insurance, and it pulls that payment for you, so you don't have to keep looking online, because some of the online ones don't put in taxes and insurance or HOA or anything else. You can even put in your property management fee.
Okay.
It actually shows you what you're coming out with. It's kind of an ugly app, but it's, I don't know if you can see because my lighting's not very good in here today. So
Okay.
Carl's mortgage calculator, I would run it some that way and move that interest rate up, in case that rehab takes longer, and just say, does it still make sense if I have to get a 7 or 8% rate? Do the numbers still work?
Okay, thank you. That's a good idea too. I'm hoping that, come to a decision. I need to come to a decision, sooner rather than later, since the interest rates are going up. So kind of know what I'm going to do one way or the other. And whatever I do, just if I'm going to do the pass, so just go ahead and move forward with it and not dilly-dally, because if I had started maybe last year, I would have been pissed. But I had some money tied up in and I didn't, I guess I could have gotten them back, but I had them invested. I didn't want to take them out. So I wanted to make sure I had my own funds if I had to as a backup.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But what do you think about if I want to make, some cash outside of my retirement fund, would you say either finding properties like at least option or wholesaling or something like that is my best options right now? Or what?
Yeah, as interest rates go up and property values stop appreciating so quickly, I'm not even saying drop super hard, but as they stop appreciating as quickly and interest rates go up, people are still going to need to move. And what we're going to see come into play is a lot more creative deals, because they're not going to have enough equity to sell and pay realtor fees and closing costs and still come out on top when the market is the appreciation is staying neutral. And so what will happen, in my opinion, is that these people are going to be looking for solutions. How can I get where I need to go and not have to bring money to closing, to make it happen? Yeah. And so as investors, it would be our job to be educated on the different types of seller finance. Okay, I call it a seller participation program. I always like to give whatever I'm talking about a name, because it makes it sound to them they must do it all the time. It's a program they offer. So, hey, Mr. Seller, we've got a seller. a cash offer doesn't seem like it's going to work for you, you know, you haven't owned the house very long and it's in really good shape, I think that this house qualifies best for our seller participation program. And what we do is take over responsibility for your monthly payments, repairs, maintenance, managing your tenant, or, you know, whatever you're going to say, and the mortgage stays in your name. We can give you some money to move on. You know, you need a couple grand. Let's get that figured out so we can get you on the way to Florida. And we just kind of have that conversation, but they haven't had to be open to that scenario up until now because prices have gone up every year, that even if you wanted to move, you could still do it and not be underwater, but it's not going to stay like that. I was in real estate when I started in 2005. And so when the 2008 crash happened, I was about 3 years in working with investors and trying to help homeowners from losing their house, doing short sales and things. And it definitely changes. It seems unimaginable right now because we've been on an upswing for a decade. My brain can't even fathom people having trouble selling their houses because there's been such a shortage. But that's where it will move to. And for us to get into properties as cheap as possible, that's really the way to do it, is people to leave their mortgage in place, or if they have equity, then they can leave the first mortgage in place and we just create a second mortgage and pay it to the seller. Maybe they do have 60,000 in equity, but they want a certain price for the house. We can give them that price if they'll take payments on the 60,000 equity. So I would say study up on that over the next few months, because I do think that's what's coming, and will allow us to do more deals. Wholesaling is a lot of fun. It moves really fast and I like it, but every time you sell a deal, you're starting over with how are you going to get that next paycheck? And I was too young and excited about real estate to realize that like 2005 to 2011, I kept doing the numbers saying, why would I keep this house for $300 a month cash flow? Or it was, you know, $400 a month and I can make $35,000 if I sell it tomorrow. That's a whole bunch of months of rent with no problems. You know what I mean? To make that up. And so I wish that I had kept some. Now, when I look back over 10 years, those same $50,000 and $60,000 houses are $200,000 today in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm like, oh, that's why I was supposed to keep it as a rental. But I was too stubborn to see it before.
But
so
maybe, okay, and I'll shut up, but what I found, my problem is often is everything sounds good. You know, the shiny object syndrome.
yeah.
So I guess since I won't say I've mastered any one particular strategy, maybe I should concentrate. If I think lease options is a good option rather than wholesale, if it turns out it's wholesale, fine, but maybe I need to pursue just one strategy and maybe be more single-minded about it. And then if it just turns out that the house could be wholesale, so be it, but not try to pursue these different strategies when I'm not expert at any one at this time. Does that make more sense? It's just
I think
focus on one thing.
I agree. The two could work together. In other words, if you do a marketing campaign and maybe if you get 2 or 3 properties, you know, and one of them you like, or the area or the neighborhood or whatever is better about it, it needs less work to get somebody in. Maybe you wholesale 2 and keep 1. That's what a lot of the fix and flippers do. They not really want to be wholesalers, but they have to do that business to get the cherry pick on the fix and flips they want. I do think they work together, but I would say my goal is for every, 4 that I wholesale, I'm going to keep 1. We're going to, out of every 5 properties, I want to keep 1, and maybe I can wholesale 15 this year. That means I can keep 3, or if I'm going to do 10 deals, I can keep 2. It's a snowball effect, and 1 rental and 2 rentals and 3 rentals is slow. It gets much easier once you get 8 or 10 and it's actually paying a wage, but you have to start somewhere until the snowball builds up. So I think the room rental is a good idea. I do. And I think I feel like you want to keep that house if you can. So that being said, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping it, you know, so I would keep digging into that, but I would just use it to build your buyers list.
Okay. And just be more single-minded about make your decision and then go with it. Don't go back and forth and back. But now it's like, you're gonna keep this property. Now what do? Okay, financing, rehab, like bump. You need to do these things and do them. And then let the chips fall where they may, but just said, this is a decision I made, and I'm going to stand behind my decision. I'm going to work to make it happen. So, so don't give myself excuse. Well, I could have, but okay, do it. I got you here. I mean, and other people. I mean, my problem is I have too many riches, too many courses, too many coaches, you know what I'm saying? Too much advice.
No, I understand. I do too. I like to learn, and I have hundreds of thousands of dollars in education, and I'm just like, just put it to work, girl. Just put it to work. So.
Thank you. You've been so helpful, and I appreciate it. So I'm gonna keep coming back and let you know what's happening. So you can say, all right, did you do this? Okay, what's our next?
Yes, I will keep it on track. Shaylee, do you and Carol have any questions? I know I've got an open house at 11, so I'm trying to get off here in about 10 minutes. I got 2 open houses today. Oh. So is there any particular questions or anything I can answer to get you pointed in the right direction for this coming week?
Well, I just have maybe if you have any light to, so as you know, we're in the Phoenix area where the prices are a little higher.
Yep.
So do you have any recommendations to get started in this area to make money? Because I want to do buy and hold, but I don't want to buy,
super expensive. Yeah.
Real fixer uppers because I don't have the time to fix it up. So I just, do you have any recommendations?
Here, I think what I think's happened right now is that the real estate professionals see the stats and know that the market climate has changed, but the general public in Atlanta and Phoenix and these big cities does not realize it yet. And so, because I do cold calling and warm calls, every day. And in their mind, the seller's mind, the market hasn't changed yet. In their mind, they're still thinking, well, give me the price I want, or, in 6 months, it'll be there anyway. And so it has been a little difficult and a little slow because the media and the news is still saying everything's fine, everything's fine. Oh, there's more people moving to Phoenix, it's the second highest growth in the country after Tampa. And so the people here are thinking that we are exempt from what's about to happen, and it's not true. I can tell you from because I'm a licensed agent here too, that with the price reductions and that are going on, that wasn't happening 6 months ago. And I feel like it's just going to be a weird couple months, honestly, before sellers come to the same conclusion that people in real estate already know is happening. It will loosen the market. I made more deals and more money between 2008 and 2011, really, than any other period in my life. And that was because there was opportunity to help people. They needed to see what options they could do to help their situation. So there definitely are deals here. I think that there's less competition on the multifamily and small multifamily. If you're looking for buy and hold, there's so many investors and wholesalers here on single family that it costs about, on average for a closed deal, that lead was about $1,200 here. And I work with some of the biggest iBuyers and cash buyers in town. So it's a lot of marketing money spent to get in front of those people. And they've got so many options with the Open Door, OfferPad, 72 sold. There's so many options here. But I would say, again, to some of the smaller multifamily, if that's something you can work with. I also have a couple other ladies. I wish I wish Maddie and Shaylee were here in Phoenix too. We get together about once a month. All of us are a little bit different in what we're doing in real estate. Some are licensed agents, some are buying rentals, some are flipping properties. And we don't always talk all about real estate, but there's a handful, 5 or 6 of us that go out once a month and just chit chat about the market and what areas of town and what's going on and try to have a good time. So maybe that would be, are you in with any REIA groups here or going to any meetings at all?
No, like I say, I'm just starting out, so I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, like I say, I don't have a lot of like spare time to do, like say the flips.
Yeah.
So that's why the buy and holds are more of interest to me. But like I say, just looking at the prices, and I know that the rents are up too, but when you look at the price of the home and you do kind of just do quick numbers,
It
this
doesn't make a
costs
lot of
more than
Mhm.
what it would rent just to buy it off like the open market.
Yeah,
So
they're selling $500,000, buys you a house that still needs work and might rent for 2,000 to 2,400 a month, depending on what it is. I know
Right.
it is way different than the South. I've worked the Carolinas and Tennessee, and you can buy a house for half the price that rents for that amount. I like the lease option for this area as well. Like I was talking to her, like I was talking to Maddie about, because they don't cash flow super well. If you do the lease with the option to buy and you get the $20,000 option money up front, it makes it make a little more sense when they're paying that rent and maybe there's very little cash flow. I think it's the time to be careful in these markets for just a couple months. Unless it was a really good deal, and by really good, I mean more than 10% off, I probably would try to wait it out 60 days and see what happens. I feel like prices are going to come down considerably, not tumble like they did in 08. I did come out here in 08 and saw every third house was vacant and had a for sale sign. It was weird because it didn't do that in Knoxville. We only lost 15% at the most. And out here, houses lost 50%, right? Were you here in 08?
Yeah, but if you can breathe, you get a loan back then. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was the main reason for a lot of the problems with the short sales and foreclosures in that time.
Yeah, they've still kept the loan standards up a little bit, but I still think that with everything going up, they're literally making it impossible for people that were already stressed paying their rent or paying their mortgage to pay it, because gas has doubled.
Right, and food, everything.
Yeah. I think we should look at some of that. Airbnb is huge here. I have a handful of friends that make a lot of money, a lot more money than you can even imagine on Airbnb. It's just big in Phoenix. People come here, because the weather's nice, right smack in the middle of the summer. It may be a little slower. I've had 2 Airbnbs. I don't have any right this minute, but mine stayed rented, and everybody I know stays rented 90% of the time. One of the ladies that meets with us once a month has 6 of them. They're just little one bedroom, 1 bath units downtown, and hers stay rented. She's got 1 person that goes and changes the towels every day. Whatever unit's getting changed over, they go and clean it and change out the linens and stock it up. So some sort of mix of rental as well as Airbnb that will increase the monthly income coming in from it. I like Airbnb. Renters, you can't go in and check on it all the time. Airbnb, somebody's in there cleaning between each customer. Keep your eyes on your property and see what's happening there a little better. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, the only thing that worries me about that is a lot of the HOAs are changing their rules where you can't have them in there. And I'd hate to buy one and then them change the rules and then have to maybe switch.
They came out, it went to the courts here. I'll have to find the article for you, but the Superior Court said if short-term rentals were not restricted when you made the covenants and restrictions for your neighborhood, you cannot add that after the fact.
Oh,
so
I heard that.
I need to see if I can find that for you, but I know that it was a big, Now the city can, like Scottsdale came in and said, hey, no more short-term rentals, blah, whatever their rules are. But in terms of the subdivision restrictions changing,
Okay,
the court said that that was unconstitutional or something, whatever the word, that wasn't fair, because when people bought the house, that rule wasn't there. You can't just come in and change something like that.
right.
So.
Okay.
I'll try to find that and try to post it up in the group.
I appreciate it.
All right, Miss Carol. And again, I'm Alice Adams. I'm more than happy to help you find something or keep an eye out. My license is hung with 72 sold over in Scottsdale. And so definitely anything I can help you with here, or when I run across a good deal, I'm happy to reach out. If you want to shoot me your contact info, I'll keep an eye open. I'm really good with new investors. That's how I got started back in 05. I was 25 and my friends weren't buying houses yet. And I was like, who am I going to sell houses to? And the other agents in the office were like, you can have this crappy buyer. They're only spending up to 50,000. And I was like, okay, I don't have anything better to do. And I realized really quick that it was investors. And okay, well, let's embrace it. And if you can get good at finding them houses, then you can sell them 6 or 7 houses a year, as opposed to a regular buyer that just purchases one every 7 years back then.
Right.
And so I got really good, and all of a sudden I had young attorneys and doctors coming to me saying, I heard you're good helping real estate investors get started. Can you help me? And so I've done it a lot. And I always used to say, hey, I'm going to make sure your first one is extra good so we can get started on the right foot. You know, you start with one that's not, and it kind of just messes up the whole game. So we'd hold out and wait for the first one, get an extra good one done. And then off to the races. A lot of those people, you know, sold their houses this last year, and I just can't. The houses that were 30, 40, 50,000 were selling at 200. It blows my mind. That's why I was slapping myself on the wrist like, bad girl, you sold all yours. You didn't stick around.
Yeah, nobody has a crystal ball, unfortunately.
Yeah, I want some multifamily properties too. I would house hack and move into a fourplex if I could find one with a pool, but I don't want to live in Arizona with no pool, not even
Right.
the house hack.
And then you have to, you know, pay for maintenance for it too. So,
Yep.
and then trying to find the person to maintenance.
I hear that's a problem here too.
Yeah.
That's one way. Actually, now that you said that, one way that we taught new investors to find deals on property is to use Google Maps and look for the green pools. And when you see the green swimming pool, that means somebody can't afford to upkeep it, or the house is vacant. So if people say, I can't afford gas, or, you know, we got one car and my wife takes it to work. And so we're like, okay, what can we do to help you move forward in real estate? And that is one that worked really well. It's time consuming, but if you're sitting watching TV and just going through neighborhoods looking for
Green pools.
Yeah, and codes gets after them too. You know, if the pool is green and code sees, or a neighbor complains, then they've got X amount of time to fix it, or they start getting charged. So maybe that's a good option if you're just it's expensive to mass mail and send direct mail or mass text, or, you know, try to reach 1,000 people. It's expensive and time consuming. I think that if you're able to spend the time, and this person may be motivated, this person, then I think we'll have good luck. But yeah, I'll be happy to try to help you find something.
Okay.
Or at least double check it and make sure it looks good before you go. So
Right.
perfect. All right, I've got to get ready for these open houses. I got one in Levine and one in Tolleson today. So I'm gonna get ready and get out. Hopefully y'all get some real estate done, and I'll see you next month. You can tell me what you done, Maddie, on your property.
All right, thank you.
All right, ladies, have a
All
good
right.
day.
Well, good luck today.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.